Am I the a-hole for not paying my nephew's tuition? I recently got divorced and it was my fault. I had a one-night stand with a colleague, he fell in love, and when I revealed that I didn't feel the same, he sent evidence of our affair to my then-husband, John. I know I was wrong for cheating. All things considered though, the divorce proceedings were relatively fair. I really wanted to stay in our home as it's where I raised our son, David, and we both found a way to make that possible. Soon after the divorce, my father was diagnosed with cancer. He's always wanted to go on a cruise with the whole family, and is planning a big voyage for the next upcoming holidays. This seems to be an issue as my father's plans clash with John's scheduled visits with David, so I would need John's permission to reschedule in order for my son to be able to join us. I brought it up with him, and he understood that my father's diagnosis changed things, but he didn't agree immediately because he wanted to talk to David first. That talk hasn't happened yet. In the meantime, school tuition was due, as David is currently attending an expensive private school. John has an impressive income and he's more than happy to pay for our son's education, but prior to our divorce, we were helping my sister, Susan, who's far from wealthy, by paying to send her two sons to the same school as David. Susan received the bill and forwarded it to John. He responded that since they're no longer family anymore, it isn't his problem. Susan thinks it isn't fair on her children to have to switch schools since they've both already been going there for quite some time, have friends there, and would have to go to a lower quality school. Susan and her family have been relying on John, and believe it's cruel of John to cut them off. My parents think due to the fact that the divorce was my fault, this is my responsibility to fix. They suggest I sell the house I got during the divorce settlement and live with them, while I pay for my sister's son's tuition. They've even told me my cousin was more than willing to take the house off my hands for a good price. I don't want to do this, primarily because I don't want to deal with my parents' consistent smoking, but also it's not as straightforward as they make it sound. In the divorce we set up the deed to transfer the property to David after I pass away. John wanted to ensure that if I were to remarry, it wouldn't end up with my potential stepchildren. John thinks it has nothing to do with him anymore, and if there's enough money to go around for a cruise, then it's time for the rest of the family to step up and get them through this transition. In any case though, I don't really want to push back on him because he hasn't technically agreed to let David go on the holiday with us, and I don't want to mess up my father's possible last wish. I feel guilty about the situation. I don't see a happy way of getting the money together, but I also agree that it is unfair that my nephews will likely have to move schools due to no fault of their own. I wish I could help, but I'm not the wealthy auntie I was a year ago. I'm by no means living in poverty, but I don't have that kind of spare money either. Does that make me the a-hole?